Welcome back to Racing Rundown, and we have iteration number 2 of our 2023 Kentucky Derby Power 5s. We did our first one right around the end of last year, looking at the 2-year-olds going into the year 2023. We said that we were going to do maybe 3 or 4 of these throughout the Kentucky Derby Trail. Now is the perfect time to get out Derby Power 5 number 2. Next week, we're starting the 50-point Kentucky Derby prep races. We had most of the 20s through the last couple of weeks. So definitely there's a lot more clarity on where the crop is right now. And there a lot of things are still similar, but there are also some changes on this, just given the way that some horses that we had on the Power 5 from the 2-year-old aspect are their schedules are very fluid right now. So some changes, and you'll see that I think 3 new horses from where we were in the winter or in 2022. So we'll start off with the first horse, and this is the only non-stakes winner of this group of 5 that we have, and that is Tappet Trice, who won a very nice allowance race on Holy Bull card last weekend at Gulfstream Park. And I'm going to bring out the saying because it's what happens with Todd Pletcher, and I said it last year. And as you get towards the Kentucky Derby, you're going to start, you start to see this, but remember the saying, death, taxes, and Pletcher in April. And of course, a very impressive allowance winner. This makes, this is no surprise that Tappet Trice is going to be a major threat going forward on the Kentucky Derby Trail. But you just look at this pedigree. He's by Tappet out of a Dunkirk mare. You know that he's going to get the distance. This was going a mile, and he won by 8 lengths. It was a very impressive effort, and he's just going to get better going forward. If he had run in the Holy Bull, and a lot of people were questioning after this win, and I think rightfully so, why he wasn't in the Holy Bull, but if he had won the Holy Bull, he would have rolled that field, I think, very easily. You saw there was a 10-point difference in terms of the buyer number between him and Rocket Can, the winner of the Holy Bull, and then I just overall don't really think of the horses from the Holy Bull that highly anyway. And Tappet Trice definitely jumps into Stakes Company next time out. I'll be interested to see where he goes. Personally, I'd like to see him go to Tampa and then go up to Aqueduct to run in the Wood Memorial. And I think that gives him good spacing to stay away from Forte, which I don't think Pletcher's going to run them both against each other. It also gets him an opportunity to get points on the Derby Trail. So that would be the route that I would go with him. This isn't turning into a forecasting the trip for them, but that's just something that I wanted to say right now there. So number 5 for Tappet Trice, I'll toss it over to Eric for number 4, who is one of the 2 horses returning from December when we had the last Power 5.
And that would be Instant Coffee, the winner of the LeCompte. Last time we talked about him, back in December following his Kentucky Jockey Club win, it was more, this is the horse that we're going to throw in, just he has the merit, but we don't know what else he has. But personally, and I think Jackie would probably agree, he has taken it a step further with his win in the LeCompte. Now, was the quality of competition that much better than the Kentucky Jockey Club? Yes, but not by much. And I think that's fair to still, critique him for what he's beaten. But at the same time, he did it very impressively. And he just continues to string together good runs and good wins. He's put together 3 really good performances throughout his career. And even his worst race, the Breeders' Futurity, was a plenty good race, a very productive race, both the horses that finished in front of him and behind him. So for all those reasons, he's a horse who deserves to be well respected on this Derby Trail. And you just have to think that there's no reason he won't make the Kentucky Derby as long as he stays healthy. It's hard to envision him running poorly in a race like the Louisiana Derby, which is his next start. And even if he doesn't, think about Mandaloun, right? He didn't, he had one more race in the Risen Star, but point being, you can have one bad prep, and as long as you were good enough before you have that strong foundation under you, you could be successful come Kentucky Derby time, at least run well. So I think he's a solid bet. He's one of I would say, the most concrete, there's no reason this horse can't be in the Kentucky Derby if they stay healthy and right horses of the crop. On to number 3, another runner from the Brad Cox barn. That's Victory Formation, a horse I remain very high on from his win in the Smarty Jones, and he'll be running in the Risen Star next time out, so he'll shift down to Louisiana. And I think that's obviously going to be a big race, not only stretching out in distance, but just tougher horses. The Risen Star has come up pretty good the last 2 years. No reason to think it won't be the same again this year with our projected field, and I think he can. It's a prove-it race. but I think he can prove it because his 3 career wins have all been excellent, especially the Smarty Jones. It felt like he became a whole different horse when he got out to 2 turns, and he just has to keep progressing little by little, but he took that huge jump already. Now he just has to maintain and continually and gradually get better. But he's a very nice horse. He should be able to get the Derby distance, no problem. It's just a question of can he truly hang with the biggest competition? So far, there's no indication he can.
So now we're going to move on to number 2. And last time in December, when we did the Power 5, we put Forte, the champion 2-year-old, at number 1 because of merit. And he's going to hold 2 largely because of merit. He hasn't had a race this year. He's going to run in the Fountain of Youth, but it's very difficult to see a situation in which Forte does not run well and get towards a point where he's going to make the Kentucky Derby. And Eric and I have been talking to each other over the course of the last few weeks and just saying that this is a horse that seems like he could sneak up on us. In every single race, the talk has been, okay, this is the race where Forte is going to flame out. And it kind of seems like that the more we go, and especially the fact that he's going to get an opportunity to run in the Fountain of Youth at Gulfstream. You saw how good those horses were last week, and assuming that Pletcher doesn't run his stablemate against him, which I think you could make the case that Tapit Trites could beat Forte, but assuming his stablemate doesn't run in the Fountain of Youth, you could be looking at a situation in which you're getting a Breeders' Cup juvenile winner in his first Kentucky Derby spot. A win gets him into the Derby against a very, very easy field, likely to show up in the Fountain of Youth. So that, and also he just has run his race. He ran his race 3 straight times, and you look at the quality of competition that he was beating in there. Loggins was a horse that we had number 2 back when we did this, and we respect him quite a bit, but it doesn't look like the Kentucky Derby is going to happen for him, which is why he's not in this list. But very nice horse there. I still think that Blazing Sevens is a horse, whenever he gets back, is going to run credible races. Again, what is he going to reach Champagne level? Remains to be seen. And then same thing with Cave Rock, but definitely more so the case than it is with Blazing Sevens. So Forte beating quality horses and just doing everything right so far. The Sanford was the Sanford, but 3 straight wins, and it's very difficult to see how he's not going to keep, at least if not improve further, stay the course. So he's number 2 pretty much only because of merit, but the results will come when the Fountain of Youth rolls around.
And at number 1, a horse who I would say as close to consensus as can be, and that's Arabian Night for Bob Baffert, Amr Zidane, a horse who in 2 starts has just dominated his competition. He beat a rather strong field, it felt like, going in to the Southwest, and that was on the heels of the open length maiden win. And he really he hasn't been touched. I mean, he just clearly is doing things in his own way. It's not like the horses that he's beating are getting beat because they're slow or getting beat because they have bad trips. No, they're just getting beat because the winner is that freaking good. And I said it a few times, and I wanted to say it again. If this horse stays right, he's probably your Kentucky Derby winner. And that's not like me being, prophetic or anything. That's kind of common knowledge right now. If this horse stays healthy, he can easily be the horse winning on the first Saturday in May. So it's going to be interesting. Obviously, he has to get there. Kind of felt this way a little bit with Life is Good a few years ago, and we know that he didn't get there, and it happens, every now and then. We have that superstar horse who injury comes up or whatever, and all of a sudden the crop becomes wide open again. So we'll have to see. He still has to get there. Got 3 more months to go, but if he does, he's as dangerous as could be.
And with that being said, that's going to end it up for Kentucky Derby Power 5 number 2 for the 2023 Kentucky Derby. Next time we'll be back around mid-March. I'm projecting the weekend after the Tampa Bay Derby when we will have finished up all the 50-point prep races and right before we get to the Louisiana Derby in the 100s. So it's a good time to get there then. We'll see how much changes. I'm liable to think that not a whole lot is going to change, but it's the Kentucky Derby Trail. Somebody could jump out and run a massive race where we don't expect to see it. So we'll see how everything goes. And that being said, that's it for this Power 5. And be sure to check out episode 197 of Racing Rundown, where we'll break down the 20-point action in the Kentucky Derby Trail at this point. So we'll see you for that. Have a good one.